All right. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. We're going to let a few people, we're going to wait a minute to let people sort of file in this room. You know how we do at the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. And then we'll get this show on the road. A couple housekeeping things while we wait to get started. Of course, our webinars and our digital streams are super interactive. Please, please, please put questions, comments, anything you want, well, with limitations, into the chat and into the Q&A box. We will be watching. Natalie, our amazing moderator, will be watching and making sure to answer all of your questions. And so we'll get started in just a few minutes. And we need music. Who has music? Who wants to sing a song?
Honestly, can I get some pulled up? Oh no, definitely not singing. I don't think I want to upset people before we start the webinar.
Oh. Hey, Brian. Oh, it's Brian. Oh, Arpine. Hi, Arpine. April. Put in the chat where you're from. We want to know. Company and region is good. Right. We'll get started in just a minute for those of you filing in. We will get started in just a minute. Hello, we got you, Sean. We got Kim. Natalie's out in New York, but she's currently in California. Very cool.
Yep.
All right, all right. Hey, we'll get started in just a minute. And we're going to go live too on LinkedIn. Fun. That's 1 second.
We got Canada. Officially got international.
Arizona,
oh, gosh,
9 a.m.
That is too hot for 9 a.m. Michael, that is a great way to describe New York. Yep.
Center of all power in the universe. Very good. We love it. I'm here in London right now, and I think they might argue against that, but you know, whatever. All right, we got this live stream going and starting. So hi, everyone. Welcome to another fun, interactive, digital online webinar with amazing experts hosted by the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. You may know me. My name is Gianna Whitfer. I am co-founder of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society, a resource and a community for marketers in the industry. If you are a marketer at a security product or services company, we would love for you to join our private community. It's sales-free, vendor-free, and it is where people connect for career opportunities, share intelligence and information about events and about products and about things that marketers invest in. And of course, talk about best practices and just generally support each other when we're having a little bit of a down day. And I'm so excited because today we have the amazing, amazing Natalie, Lauren, and Aaron on the call. We are going to be doing an hour of conversation and questions, your questions. Okay, you guys know how it works. We want you to put your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat, in the Q&A box. So we have an hour with these three amazing individuals to talk about our topic today, which is how to convince leadership to show your product a cybersecurity marketing and sales perspective. So those of us, myself included, have come across a struggle where you want to show your product to the world. And us in cybersecurity, we have complex cybersecurity products that may not necessarily have the brilliant ability to convey what they do digitally. Some do, some don't. But we want to walk people through these products. We want to walk our prospects through. We know that they're hiding from the typical sales and marketing outreaches that happen in other industries. And we want to show our products so that people can play with the products and understand it and interact and see if it works for them before reaching out, or a variety of other use cases. So we're so excited to talk in depth about this topic, of which all the amazing panelists here have lots and lots to share about, as well as some interesting potential partner use cases as well for product walkthroughs, which is really, really cool. So this will be all about how to convince the other people at your company that, hey, we need to move into the modern era and show our product. And even if our competitors see it, it's going to be okay. All right, I'm so excited. Okay, now I'm going to shut up. I'm going to introduce our brilliant, brilliant, brilliant panelists. And again, thank you to Novatic for being our sponsor and for bringing together this awesome panel. All right, so we have Lauren Kersansky. She is Director of Marketing Operations and Analytics at Exonius. Lauren, tell the people who you are.
Yeah, mostly coveted. I'm Lauren, everybody. I run operations and analytics at Exonius. We are the system of record for all digital infrastructure for IT and security teams worldwide. Um, my career is mostly, I've been at several cybersecurity companies and demand generation operations roles. And I've ping-ponged between cybersecurity companies and MarTech companies. So like from HubSpot to Cybereason and back and forth. And so I have kind of experiences in both worlds. And yeah, just super psyched to talk to everybody today, fellow cybersecurity marketers, about getting buy-in for your interactive demos.
Amazing. We also have Aaron Schiffman. He is Senior Technical Product Marketing Manager at App Dynamics, which was acquired by Cisco.
Hi, yeah, I'm in the product marketing division here at Cisco App Dynamics. I've been here just about 3 years. Before that, I came from Elastic, and I spent about 14 years over at Dell EMC. I have a sales engineering background, so I've really focused on helping our sales teams go to market with new products as well as partner enablement. And so my focus is really about making sure that the tools that the sales folks have will be instrumental in closing deals.
Love it. Love it. That is exactly what we need here. And last but not least, we have Natalie Marcotulio, Head of Growth and Operations at Nevadic. Natalie.
Yeah, hey, welcome everyone. I'm so excited for this talk. As you see, we have two amazing customers on this call, Lauren and Aaron. We were just doing a little prep before this, and I just sat here smiling the entire time. A lot of good knowledge coming your way. I've led marketing at Nevadic for about 2.5 years now. And while I'm not in the cyber marketing space, I talk to a lot of our customers who are in cybersecurity and just constantly hear this question of like, I'm excited about demos or just showing my product more, but I need to get sales bought in. I need to get my CEO, my CMO bought in. So we figured what better way than talking to two people who did it successfully and now are crushing it with interactive demos.
Amazing. Now I'm going to pass the mic on to Natalie to moderate this panel and moderate this discussion. Just a quick reminder, again, for those of you on the LinkedIn Live, this is an interactive session. Post your thoughts, your comments, your questions, and we'll be keeping an eye out on them so that we can answer them on this call. Thank you so much, panel. I'm going to pass the mic over to Natalie.
Cool. Okay, excited to get this kicked off. I guess I just want to start at the very beginning. Lauren and Aaron, why did your company decide to start adopting interactive demos? I know, Lauren, before you were talking about, it wasn't necessarily this like big shift, but a lot of little pieces that came together. If you don't mind kicking us off, Lauren.
Yeah, of course. So like you said, Natalie, it was not so much, one day we decided like we need product tours. It was really just kind of a confluence of factors. And for me, what I was trying to do ultimately is what I was trying to solve for is increasing our conversion rates on site to hand raising conversion. So demos, trials, etc. But it was really, you want to take a big swing when you're doing that. A/B testing your messaging, like redesign, like sure, whatever, like those things are important, but they don't really move the needle in a meaningful way. And so as I was trying to think of how to like take a big swing and meaningfully improve that conversion rate and thus, pipeline, it was really just kind of a bunch of data points for me a lot like along the customer journey that kind of crystallized, so basically the conclusion of those data points, right, was when somebody actually gets to our site, people are buying differently these days. They have already been researching for like 1 to 3 months before then. Like they're very much like they know what their problem is. They understand what they're mostly they understand what they're trying to solve. So by the time they get to you, like they're ready for that kind of material and then that kind of very product focused content. So for me, it just kind of like crystallized. And then, I started, thinking about ways to do it, heard about product tours, they started getting, saw some great examples. And I thought, I think this is the big swing that we should take.
Love that. And Aaron, on your side, was it similar, looking to improve website conversion or looking just for a big swing, or how did you kind of come to interactive demos?
Yeah, it was sort of like, for me, it was like Lauren was saying, for me, it was sort of a bit happenstance. We had a new feature launch, and I really needed a good way of not only bringing it to market, but being able to enable sales and familiarize partners with the same features. And really, it's been a shift. Our society has been sort of shifting from a very sales-led strategy to more product-led growth, sales strategies where we really want to get that conversions, like was Lauren's alluding, what Lauren was building off what she was saying is it's really to shorten that sales cycle. And how do we best give those tools to the sales folks to help do that? We don't want to find out after several weeks of working through a sales cycle for them to finally get to see the product and then for them to say, oh, this product isn't going to be worth it. So if we can cut that down even a few weeks, is going to be a great benefit for, and that's exactly what we were trying to streamline, is trying to make sure that customers are able to see these new features and these new products as quickly as possible without getting into too much, having to set up meetings and everything else. And then from there, we sort of, we went into, how can we support inbound marketing as well as the outbound.
I love that you both brought up how the B2B buying journey is changing. I think I saw somewhere on G2, it's like 60 to 70% of research is done before that first call. So it sort of just makes sense. Like if people are doing so much research, let's let them show a little bit or learn a little bit so you're not wasting sales team's time.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'd love to dive into the question that I feel like is most on everyone's mind. So you all are like, yes, the buying journey is changing. We got to fix it. How did you get leadership or maybe other departments bought in? And was there actually any fear to begin with from leadership or other departments?
Yeah, I mean, so I had like different types of pushback to like varying degrees. And first, and I'll say this, or my former CMO, Nate Burke, he made a post on LinkedIn about this. So I'm not talking out of school, is, his pushback wasn't so much like regarding competitors, right? Which is what a lot of people are worried about. But his was more like, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, why wouldn't we do a video? Which, Aaron and I talked about before we came on here, is like that can have a really short shelf life. So, from like marketing leadership, it was more like, is the juice really worth the squeeze here? Is this going to work? Why don't we just do videos, etc. And I would say pushback has been like, it was more on like that kind of individual sales reps, super bought in, sales leadership, like high leadership, totally bought in, excited. It was kind of some mid-level like sales managers that had more of the competitor concerns, meaning they're afraid that our competitors are going to see it. And I think really what I was able, what we're able to kind of do is just really talk through it and get to the heart of like what they're really, what are their actual concerns? Are they afraid that, is our competitor just going to replicate something? Or are they going to use it against us or something? And so I think it was just really like hearing them and like talking through, and kind of by the time you're done with that conversation, like they feel pretty good. And like you kind of take it to its logical conclusion, which like nothing bad will happen, which really is what would at least work for me. But Aaron, I'm really interested to hear about your experience.
Lauren, I think I have a lot of the same perspectives, except that I didn't really have any pushback. I use the cliche as kind of it's a cliche, but the product, if positioned correctly, if you position this product correctly, if you present the click-through aspect correctly, the product sells itself. I know it's a cliche, but I took a strategy of about 4 things that I presented in front of our leadership. First, I wanted to present a walkthrough demo that's going to excite users, right? You're not going to give them too much, but you're going to give them enough to excite the customers to have that deeper conversation with the salesperson, or for them to continue on this journey. What pain points are they going to solve with the products? Highlight the top features. You don't want to have an exhaustive click-through demo. You want to have enough to where someone's going to feel comfortable and excited about your product. The second is calls to action, right? These demos at the end, you can have calls to action, and you need to be consistent with your calls to action. You can link to another blog that's going to have more in-depth analysis of what you're proposing. You could have links to additional use case scenarios, like what what we try to focus on is providing an overview click through, and then subsequently at the end, you can go, do you want to dive deeper into these different areas? you can go and click through a different demo for those purposes. So multiple CTAs that are consistent are really important to present to leadership as to, at the end of these aren't just for fun, these are actually going to drive demand. And the third thing is to build champions, right? And I know I was talking to Lauren about this, and from our perspective, it's really the sales organization, because they're the ones that are closest to the people who are going to be using these products, right? So they're going to have the best feedback as to what areas to focus in on. So making sure that you're aligning yourself very strategically with sales and to build champions in that org is going to be definitely advantageous. And then bringing in the data is the fourth point, right? So the product, Novatic, has analytics, but you can also gain analytics from, I don't know if you're using Adobe Analytics or some other type of analytics program, but you're going to want to bring back that analytics data to follow through and say, you know, these are being used. We have, you know, this many users in the last 7 days, last 30 days or whatever. This is how much time they've spent. And all these analytics can be brought in from the Novatic platform, you know, what their click-through rate is, what steps they've spent the most time on, where their drop-offs are, which is actually beneficial to bring back to product as well. And there is a fifth element here, and to present to leadership the long-term strategy. Now, Lauren mentioned this before. Why not just create a recorded video? They're easy to create, quick to create, but you got a couple problems with a recorded demo. One that people might not pay attention to that are native English speakers is that not everyone is a native English speaker, nor are they native English listeners. So if you have a demo that's a recorded audio, that person speaking needs to be clear and crisp. One of the primary causes for people to drop interest in recorded demo is audio quality. If they're not presenting well, if they're not articulating what they're presenting well, people can just sort of drop off. So the click-through demos get around all of that, and they have a longer shelf life because you can record a demo quickly. It takes longer to create a click-through demo, but the long-term strategy that leadership is going to want to pay attention to is what can you do day 2, day 3, and so on. With a click-through demo, you're going to be able to update those click-through demos in minutes, hours versus days or even weeks of re-recording things. So from a shelf life perspective, they make a lot of sense to leadership.
I love the point too of like get some data and get some things started. Lauren, I know one thing you talked about was once you got a little bit of feedback and like buy-in from especially sales users and then sales enablement, that's when people got more excited. Can you talk a little bit, this kind of goes into our next question of use cases, like how did we go from getting a little bit of excitement, buy-in, convincing to then maybe expanding it out or getting teams to use it more and more?
Yeah, so I think, you know, I kind of echo, you know, getting teams excited, you mentioned. Kind of what Aaron said is like building those champions internally. I would say for me, what got people really excited was our sales enablement team and our sales enablement leader, who's incredible here at Exonius. She was pretty critical. She loved it, and she was really critical in getting the sales org very excited, like doing it on our monthly, presenting it on our monthly all hands sales call, you know, dropping it in the sales slacks, like getting people really, really excited about it when it was coming from her. And it was like, you know, just her talking about, you know, the ways that they could use this and how it can improve their pipeline and their conversations. That was huge. And so having that champion was critical to getting people excited. You also mentioned, you just mentioned something about data and getting a little bit of data in front of people to get them excited about tours and expanding use cases. I would say the data, it's different for each audience that you're talking about. So for marketing team, like disimproved our on-site conversion rate to demos by, you know, X%. Super exciting for me, especially. But and you know, that builds your marketing champions. But when it comes to sales, yeah, that might be exciting for them, I guess. Like some of them might nerd out on that a little bit, but mostly not. What gets them excited, I found, is more of just the qualitative aspect, like the qualitative data of like great feedback from prospects. We actually, you know, or great feedback from partners too, which is also huge. But really sharing the qualitative feedback, like, hey, great tour, loved it, totally makes sense, you know, whatever, sharing that with sales I think the qualitative aspect like resonated more. So like when we talk about, hey, what are the data points we can share to get people excited? Just like know your audience, right? Like sales is probably going to be a little bit more excited about the qualitative aspect, or alternatively, like, hey, here's how much the tour or your product or demo, whatever, contributed to your pipeline. So like maybe that's more the quantitative aspect, but pipeline and then plus qualitative stuff kind of resonates with sales. Maybe more of the conversion rates, hard numbers stuff more resonates with marketing. So if you're going to use that data, like just, know your audience is basically what I would say.
Erin, what about you? Any like particular metrics, or I guess maybe even just like stats or quotes that you got to kind of, it sounds like your team was pretty excited from the beginning, but maybe get them even more excited.
I mean, after we were talking to Lauren, Lauren and I were talking, we were all talking before the meeting here, and it got me really excited because I didn't really take into consideration that quantitative and versus qualitative aspect. But that does play a huge part. I mean, the numbers, people want the numbers. But really the feedback, from my experience, as soon as I published the first demo, I just had people pinging me left and right. Can you do one for this? Can you do one for that? And so if you take that feedback and say, we can use this in all these different ways that are being asked of us now. We're not presenting something, we're now being asked to support initiatives. That's going to play a huge role in what you can do with this product and what leadership buys in on. So I think that is a really good point from Lauren.
I think giving other departments, letting them use it too, usually also really helps with buy-in. And I know you both talked about partnership use cases. Erin, do you mind expanding a little bit on that? Because it seems like that was also another big like aha moment for your team.
This is a great, Navatic does have playbooks. Like you can go to it's docs.navatic.com/use/cases. And they do have a focus on sales enablement. So I've got some pointers on that. But from my perspective, what our biggest challenge, throughout my career has always been lab access. There's a very limited number of people who have the ability to drive demos. Most sales have the ability to spin up a demo, but sometimes those aren't stable. They could be using engineering developed demo environments that today it works, and then as soon as you're in front of a customer, something inevitably goes wrong. Plus the load time can be a problem. But even after that, if we're talking about partners have even a more limited access capability to our demos, right? Unless they have like a lab, a sandbox or something in their environment, or you have a demo center. Some of the larger corporations that I've worked for do have demo centers that partners do have access to. It's still sort of kind of like you're giving the keys to the product, but you're not helping them drive the demo. And with a Navatic, it's sort of like you can have a self walkthrough with pop-ups that say explain the features or click here, click next. You also have a demo center capability as well, where they can drive their own. So it's almost like partners can use a self-guided tour, or they can just have a feature-rich demo created where they're doing the clicking, they're doing the explanation without having those pop-ups. Some people, I don't want those pop-ups when I do a demo. It's great if they're doing them on their own, but partners will have both options. So the lack of a solid lab environment for partners, if you're giving your partners sort of a train the trainer type of mentality, it's going to go really well with those partners. And they're going to be more likely to present your product over your competitors because, it's easy. You're making it easier for them.
Yeah, Lauren, I know you kind of talked on that a little bit as well. I was going to ask, I'd love for you to also elaborate how like that partnership use case can almost be a competitive advantage. I love your point, Erin, of like making it easy for them. They'll be more likely to show it.
Yeah. And that's honestly, I would just echo that entirely for us, is partners loved this, still do. It's just great collateral for them at the end of the day. It's just great collateral for them to use, to share, to like really help articulate the value of your product versus what they're probably traditionally doing with other vendors who are maybe providing a little bit more traditional collateral to their partners. So, just even differentiating yourself with the partners is just so huge. And again, the qualitative feedback we had from partners is just super positive. So yeah, I think the partnership use case is just exceedingly powerful.
And I know one other use case I wanted to highlight because I think this is so cool and it's kind of one of my favorite use cases is that conference use case. Do you mind talking about how you used it at RSA?
Yeah. So we for the first time this year, we decided to use our interactive tour as a way to kind of like filter people at our booth. I was not at RSA, but of course I built a specific tour for RSA. And so what was interesting, you know, we get a ton of booth traffic, especially at an RSA, a Black Hat, etc. It was a great like kind of qualifier to get people to come in, go through, and then, you know, we actually customized it for the event. So we didn't just plop down a link to our regular product tour. We actually said like, this is our conference product tour. So there's some nuances there, right? We don't have all like the CTAs and conversion points because we're actually not trying to get them to fill out a demo form. We're actually trying to get them to a sales engineer. So there's some like nuances there that were like kind of interesting to work with. But it was great that, you know, there was just a laptop, maybe there was two, that would be at RSA, and folks would come in, drive themselves, like understand and kind of like prep them to talk to a sales engineer. Because the first question that you get at a conference is like, so what do you do? And like, you know, they're kind of prepped already, and they can get deeper with the sales engineer, have a better conversation, and also differentiate you from the 10,000 other booths that are there at RSA. I would say what was super cool, props to the events team at Exonius, but you know, in our traditional product tour at the end, it's like, you want to get a demo and you like have those CTAs. They had a button on the booth that you would hit, and it would like light up and it would like take you to, you know, it would, a sales engineer would know to like take somebody to a demo center. So that was like pretty cool. I'm sad I didn't get to like actually see it. But it was interesting to build a tour that was like, press the button on the right side. So it was just like a very different use case. It was super fun. We learned a lot and definitely going to make a lot of iterations for other conferences going forward. But it was really effective at educating folks, you know, ahead of time before they got to a sales engineer, differentiated ourselves at the conference itself. And yeah, and just kind of kept booth traffic moving, which is always important. So yeah, that's kind of the event use case in a nutshell.
I love that. And I told you this before the call, but we actually had someone come inbound at Nevada because they loved that experience so much that like, oh, we want to do the same thing. So huge kudos to your team. Clearly it was loved. We had actually a great question from Angie in the chat, and we're hoping to bring Angie up to ask it because this is something I get asked about all the time. I know we talked about before, but basically, how do you balance showing feature richness and also keeping it short? So, Angie, I'll let you ask the question in your own words too. Thanks for a surprise coming on.
Hi, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think I actually figured the wrong number and I was cooking lunch while I was watching this webinar. But yeah, it's basically this long-standing issue that's been part of our discussions internally long time. You know, as we know, cybersecurity products are complicated, they're you know, robust, and you know, the sales cycle is long and arduous, so it's not this one and done thing. And what's the problem with us is that for years, you know, being a long-standing tool in the market in a small niche part of cybersecurity, it's like, well, we have so many proprietary tools and patents that we don't want to give everything out. And so there's this conflict between the product team that doesn't want to share our secret sauce with the sales team, who's basically begging like, hey, like, want to see our tool in action? We can't show you. So you know, our website has a lot of fluffy language and that there's not as much substance. And the second part of it is that, you know, we know that there's business value that needs to be had between that buyer, but then once they sign that contract and it's off to implementation to the end users, it's like, well, you know, I didn't sign off on this. So I guess it's like, you know, how do you strike a balance between getting that sweet spot of like, let's communicate value, but let's communicate feature rich. So it's really hard to even like, we've been having, I feel like we've been having the same conversation for months. Like I don't know if that's enough.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah, Lauren or Aaron, any ideas there?
I mean,
sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you're first of all, you're in control of what you present, whether it's a recorded demo, whether it's a click-through demo, what you put on your webpage, what you've got in your documentation. I think I don't want to steal Lauren's thunder, but I think Lauren, you were the one who pointed out, it's like, but it's in the documentation.
Right.
And if the
Exactly.
documentation is public, then you're going to get those features. So, you know, I'm new school mentality. I don't believe that hiding everything is a good thing from your prospect's perspective. You don't want to go in, and I'm going to reiterate what I tried to mention earlier, is you want to cut the sales cycle down as much as possible. And if you don't want to sit there and invest in 2 weeks, 3 weeks for them to finally say, for the customers to finally say, oh, you know what, we don't care for this product. We can find the same features somewhere else. We like the use case on this other better. So it's a tough call when you don't want to be out in the wild with what your features are. But the reality is, in today's society with YouTube and everybody's, you know, wanting to be, you know, the next influencer, chances are your product's already out there. You know, it's somebody's recording your product and they're going to be mentioning things that you probably wouldn't want to mention anyway. And so this is one way of controlling what your customers, what your leads are going to see before they go and start. They're going to search for them. They're going to find what they're going to look for. So it's sort of like you have the ability to control what you present. And if the product, I mean, I hope there's no product engineers on the call, but if the product isn't worth its salt, what are you hiding from? You know, customers are gonna see it regardless.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You are in control of what you're showing. And especially in something like Nevada, you get to control what you show, how you present it, and then also, you know, most importantly, as you're going through a product tour, you're communicating the value of something, not just like feature by feature by feature. So I think, yeah, it's really, if we can't do something because we're afraid our competitors will see it, or it's just like too open out in the world, it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? So I think like Aaron said, like buying has just changed so much. And just by having something like this, or a product tour so open, like to customers, to prospects to evaluate, is such a huge value add in and of itself. Like, why are we making it hard for people to experience our value when we could actually do this with a very low bar, or low barrier to entry for customers? So, and like I said, like, I think, you know, you got to take a big swing. And I think if to kind of mitigate any of those fears is that you are in control of what you show. So I think, you know, and I think I kind of saw something in the chat that caught my eye. Someone said you can slow roll it too. And that's fine. Yeah, that's like totally legit. Like, slowly roll out a product tour and features, and especially since Angie intimated that you guys have a ton of tools and proprietary stuff, like you can kind of start small, and then as you're proving value, you can, you know, launch more of those things that you want to, and kind of get to your happy place, you know, more gradually.
That's really helpful. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah,
I
keep
have
it
one small
simple.
thing to-
Dave. Sometimes, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Aaron. You guys, you have
Well,
better advice than I do.
Just to reiterate what you know, I've seen on the chat, Gianna is mentioned, you know, keeping it simple is sometimes the best, because you've got to ask yourself, what's your North Star for these types of demos? Everybody on this call is interested in working in how to gain those leads, but what's your intention? What's your North Star with these demos? For me, you know, it's really about exciting people to have further, deeper conversations. It's not to be exhaustive. It's not to showcase and just let, you know, the keys to the kingdom, you know, not giving anybody the keys to the kingdom. Just start small, just enough where people are like, you know, I like this. I wonder if it can do X, Y, Z. You don't show it, but it's enough to, hey, I need a call. I need a follow-up email. I need a, you know, POV. Let's start, you know, getting into the sales cycle a little bit more. So yeah, keeping it simple, just an overview, focusing on use cases, you know, a certain use case that you are comfortable with, and gradually move towards deeper enablement. And if you don't want it live, you can gate it. These are gateable, so you don't have to have it free to anyone. You can gate it. So there are some strategies there. I do recognize the industry is very tight, tight-lipped. But honestly, I think the risks far outweigh the rewards far outweigh the risks.
Totally agree. And I just wanted a really quick piggyback. You said gateable. That was a conversation that was had a lot, mostly on the marketing team, actually. It was like, but we want the leads, which like I get, but it's like I'm very obviously you probably couldn't tell very much on team ungated over here. So I'm curious if you had the same experience, Aaron, of like to gate to not to gate. We're totally ungated. And obviously I think there's some interesting strategies people do of like if they have like a full demo center and maybe after 3 you like gate the third one or something, like there's some kind of like interesting conversion strategies there, but curious where you fell and on team gated versus ungated.
We've got some, from me, the folks that, that I've worked, we have different methodologies for that. The gating idea that was presented really wasn't about keeping a tight lip on our product as much as wanting to ensure we've got lead gen, right? And that was really the focus rather than I think what Angie brought up, is very valid. I saw some people commenting that's everyone here has that same concern. We aren't gating anything, we don't gate anything at this point. But if we did, it wouldn't be for that reason. It'd be for lead gen.
For sure. Makes sense.
One thing we've been seeing more customers doing on the gating versus ungating, because we also get that question all the time, is gating after like step 5. So I think to the point about how much do you show, give like a little overview, give them something, because no one likes to be just like thrown a gate in their face. Like this just becomes less exciting when the first thing you see is a form. So give them a little bit, then gate it at step 5 and say, if you want to see advanced feature functionality, and it just makes sense. And yeah, definitely saw higher, like I think it's 15% higher engagement rates when you're presented with a gate at step 5 versus a gate right at the beginning.
Interesting.
Well, that's supporting a software-led growth strategy as well, because if you think about a lot of the tools that we download, who wants to go to the app store and download it and have to pay $8 for an app without even testing? It's like I want to test it a little bit. Like, give me some features, maybe not give me all the features. And then when I've already kind of got interest in it, start opening it up in the same sense as that. I love that idea of gating it sort of somewhere through the demo, because you've already got someone's interest, they got some momentum, and then say, hey, if you want to know more, it's kind of fair. It's a give and take here. So you're being pretty fair if you gate it in the middle somewhere. I like that.
Totally.
Exactly. And we typically recommend like 1 or 2 questions, especially if it's in the middle. So, if you're versus getting a form that's maybe like 10 questions up front, again, it just feels a little overwhelming. When you have 1 or 2, it's like, okay, I just have to put in my email. Like that's easy. I want to keep going.
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. We touched on a few of these, but I know there was a lot of questions of like, how do you show value versus being feature rich? Do we mind everyone giving some best practices for when you're actually building out these demos, how to tell more of a story versus maybe like feature dumping, which I think is often a fear of these demos.
Yeah, I think, that's totally legit. It's very easy to fall into being like, look at my awesome feature right here. Isn't that so cool? It's because you're building a product tour, so it's very easy to fall into that trap. I would say we had this like value-based like selling course at Exonius, and I took it to listen in, and a big part of it was, again, not hammering somebody with features. It's lived by the motto like, here's XYZ feature, so you can, and it's like, okay, what can I do? So like when I was kind of building the tours, I'm like, okay, I'm showing how to connect an adapter. Like, what does that do? What benefit does that actually provide? And doing it very succinctly, because obviously in a tour, you don't want like a whole paragraph of like, what the benefit is, but just being concretely aware of like everything you're showing is kind of follows so you can do X, so you can Y, and then really just communicate that value. That's what worked for me, anyway. And also having getting feedback from your like product marketing counterparts for sure. some sales folks that might be interested, like just making sure that you're kind of, you know, getting a gut check on if you're communicating the value in a real way versus like just feature dumping, which is tempting to do when building something like this.
Yeah, I can't, I mean, that's absolutely sentiments shared exactly. You don't want to just say, hey, this is where you see vulnerabilities. I obviously see that. I obviously
Right.
know that. Be a little bit more intelligent about it. Be a little bit more strategic about it. It's like, well, what is the value by going here? So I completely support all those sentiments. The only thing I can really contribute is like when you're doing these types of demos, be cognizant about how people approach the demo, right? Keep it from, you know, top left corner to bottom right corner. So don't have people jumping around, right? I use bold-faced font whenever I'm referring to an actual item in that's written specifically. So like quote, instead of using quotes, I'm using just bold-faced, keeping your words down to a minimum, value points, but really making sure that you're not jumping, like you don't go to the left, go down to the right and go back to the left. Because people's eyes generally read from left to right, at least in our languages here. And so we're going to go from top left corner to talk about those features and kind of going down because that's your natural reading pattern. So you want to sort of try to be in their shoes as to making it comfortable for them when you're going through this walkthrough.
For sure. I actually had just thought of something when we were talking about values, value-based and, you know, communicating value versus like feature dumping is I think one thing that's also really valuable too, besides following a so you can method and getting feedback is I would encourage if anybody has the ability, like has Gong or the ability to listen to sales calls, it's super valuable to like listen to those and understand like one, how your reps, like your greatest reps, right? How they're communicating the value and then how prospects are responding and receiving the value. What is their aha moment in that call? Like when you get to when you know you're showing a certain feature, like how is the sales rep communicating that value? How is the prospect receiving it? You know, do you see any patterns? Do you see like is there something that you can kind of glean from those those calls and your customers' reactions and feedback to them into your tour so you can communicate those benefits and values. So just another little like input as you're building these is like that can also be super helpful when you're kind of architecting how you're going to present this and how you're going to communicate the value of your solution.
Oh, and
I
getting
always
their
love to steal
feedback
things from
too.
sales.
Yeah, sales is the key to knowing your customers. They're the ones who are talking to them every day.
Yep.
I always joke my best marketing copy is always just taking things from sales, just taking what they said on calls.
Pretty much. True.
Perfect. We have a good question in the chat and we're coming up on time. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to dump it now. But this kind of goes off what we're talking about feature dumping, which is basically like just showing all your products or showing all features available versus this question, which is awesome, is what do you do if you have a product that is really versatile? So if you have 10 plus types of personas, or if you have, you know, a bunch of different use cases. And Lauren, I have a feeling I might know the answer you're going to give considering what you all are thinking about building, but would love to hear how you both do approach multiple use cases and personas.
For sure. So, you know, I mean, first, I'm always a fan of just like a single overview tour of like, hey, what's the high level? Like, what is Exonius? What do you do at like and why are you valuable? The very highest of levels. And then you really, I think when you start getting into, you know, as your product gets bigger and you serve more personas and you know, solve more problems, I think that's when a use case library or a demo center really comes into play. And a little sneak peek, something would like to build, but essentially, you know, building mini tours, I guess, for individual use cases or individual like problems they're trying to solve, being able to, you know, kind of segment those out by, you know, personas and use cases and whatnot is definitely can be super powerful. Because and also like it's more helpful for, you know, the customer themselves if they're kind of on your site and they're figuring out if they're for you. Overview tour is probably like pretty good, but they're going to want more specific information, and the more specific use case information that you can give them, the more excited they get, the more value you're providing them, and they just understand you better, and they can have that better conversation with sales. So the TLDR, I guess, is like building out actual use case tours that are like short, sweet, communicates value very quickly.
Yeah, Aaron, what about on your
Yeah,
side? How you think about different personas?
I mean, I can't really, I mean, Lauren's got it down to a T. You know, all I can really contribute to on top of that is, you know, just put yourself, you're on this journey. So if you're starting, if you're thinking about Nevada click-through demos, think about how you would learn this product, right? You're going to learn this product. You don't want to dive deep into all those features, right? You don't want to dive into some advanced feature right away. You're going to start light. You're going to start easy. You're going to just say, I'm going to click 14 steps of a nice overview. And by the time, I guarantee by the time you're done doing those 14 steps, you're already going to be in your mind realizing where you can start diving deeper. And again, back to like the best practices, and Lauren articulated this very well, use cases are going to be the ultimate scoreboard, right? Customers want to know, what are they going to be able to solve? Quick, easy, you're going to be able to do X, Y, Z just with 3 or 4 clicks, and keep that, you know, as one demo, and then build a demo center. So when they come, they can see, not only do I get an overview, but I have 3 or 4 other use cases all here on my website that they're not having to search, right? Make it easy for them to see that we've got 4 or 5 click-through demos that, you know, you can take the 101, 201, 301, and then all those different use cases. But I think based on your own journey of using a product like this, it's just gonna evolve. You're gonna evolve with your customers. The more I use this product, the more I realize that the other use cases I can use with it.
Yeah, I think there is. I think you said this earlier, Aaron. There's like a natural virality to it. Like once one department or one use case starts using it, suddenly everyone's like, oh, wait, I could start using it for like in product. We have some customers using it there, or for customer success, champion enablement. Like it suddenly you just think of anywhere you could use a GIF or a video, you could use a demo.
Once people in your organization start seeing what you're doing, they're going to want to participate, and they're going to give you ideas. And so now I have roundtables. I've created chat groups with, you know, lots of people who are all sharing their ideas. And so it becomes like, you know, yeah, it's a virality. It's an internal virality that just naturally happens.
For sure.
Actually, I have one final question here that just made me think of, and if anyone else has questions in the chat, let us know. But I guess, how do you almost prioritize and filter in all the requests? Is it just having different department build different demos? Like I imagine as people get excited, at some point you're like, I love that, but I can't build every single demo. Or maybe you can, and that'd be great.
I have not built any type of effective mechanism to filter these requests, which is funny to say as someone who runs marketing operations. I think, you know, at least for me, just like totally my case, it's really a Slack channel with some product tour feedback, and folks just kind of dropping in there and giving feedback, having some ideas. And a lot of it is more like, you know, ideas for later. Like it's nothing that's ever like an emergency, but it's always positive, and it's always something that, you know, hey, they want to show a certain thing to a certain, you know, customer, prospect, partner, you know, whatever. But I'd say I kept it very simple, which is just Slack channel, and, you know, me and a couple other folks on the team would, you know, filter that request.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think
it's a
Gianna,
great
this is
question
an
because, I had a good comment here because, you know, I'm dealing with a lot of different products and a lot of different features, and they come out so fast, I just can't keep up with them. And so it's really for us is, you know, to align with leadership strategy for any go-to-market. If you're going to market with something, you know, if it's like a tier 1 launch, then you're going to want to support it. If it's not a tier 1 launch, then it's going to be, you know, in the pipeline. But yeah, Slack channels or for us, it's a different program, but for channels to try to prioritize how many people are speaking about it. If you're going to market with any other efforts to try to align with campaigns, if you're going to an event, right, and that event is aimed at a certain focus, then that's going to help drive that. initiative as well.
100%.
I love that. Yeah. Align it with the other big marketing campaigns or events going on. And then also just
you
like
gotta
more
find some,
eyeballs.
yeah,
on
it's
the
it's
event.
not an
Yeah.
it's an ever evolving thing. And sometimes they get dropped.
Okay.
Like we were starting to create demos that got dropped. You know, that just happens.
For sure.
I don't know one marketer who hasn't had some sort of project that has been dropped or random or new priority comes in. It feels like that's part of the fun of marketing. Always something coming at you.
100%.
Rolling with the
Okay, I
punches.
think we got one final great question from Gianna. And Lauren, I think this especially ties into your MOPS background, but yeah, how do you score these leads, or how do you use it as part of your larger lead workflow?
Yeah, I would say it's a great idea to use this as part of your lead scoring flow. My thing with lead scoring in general is like keep it as simple as possible. Don't make it insane. But you are able to integrate, you know, of course, Novatic into HubSpot, and you can create any types of properties about, you know, completed tour, halfway completed tour, or recent tour date, like all of those things that you want to collect. It's pretty flexible. And you can integrate those into your scoring, whatever you use, HubSpot, Marketo, special lead scoring tool. But definitely, it's definitely a lot of value there to, you know, just up that lead score and get folks to, you know, kind of surface those more high intent leads. So yeah, for sure, like very valuable thing to do.
Yeah, the integrations, Salesforce, you know, those types of integrations are going to play a huge part in building that. I've yet to integrate with Salesforce, but it seems to be you know, there's definitely some real potential from what I can see is Novatic does have a lot of good integrations.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. And I think to our point earlier of like, how do you get buy-in? Like giving the sales reps more data that they can then use. And if you can see, oh, hey, this prospect went through this demo before jumping in a call, like they're probably pretty interested in that. I can imagine gets them more excited to have just more insight in what prospects are interested in.
For sure.
Yeah, just like the event that Lauren was at when she was talking, you know, it's you're giving them enough to where they're going to ask questions. That's going to make that conversation with a customer 10 times, 100 times more, you know, more impactful, because they're already going to have questions in their mind because they've already kind of seeded in place. You've seeded, right? You've seeded some ideas that now that conversation you're going to have is going to be such a better conversation.
Exactly. Well, I cannot thank Lauren and Aaron, you guys enough for this. Like, so much fun just hearing how you all are using Novatic, hearing how you got bought in, how we got maybe other departments a little less scared to show their product. Hopefully we helped inspire any other marketers. Any final like thoughts or maybe advice for other marketers going on this journey to be more product forward?
You know, just well, first, thank you guys for having me. This has been super fun. I would say, you know, just take a big swing. I think one thing that I did in the beginning was I think I built up the pushback in my head a little bit of what it was going to be like. Oh, this is going to be this big tough sell, and like in some areas it was. But you know, just approaching it from a more open mindset and like actually just ask, or like just or ask, but just present why you want to do something and present it effectively. Is, you know, really just take the step, take a big swing. And you know, I would say, like I said, I think I built it up a little bit in my head before I actually did it, and I probably could have like maybe shaved a week off if I didn't overthink so much. So that's, you know, just do it, basically. What's my advice?
Yeah. Just, I mean, is you got to just jump into it. But the reality is, I know it's a cliche, but the product sells itself if you do the right strategy. If you present this
For sure.
to the right persona in the right way, you know, depending on who that stakeholder is, you know, hugely beneficial is having that feedback from customers who have actually said this has been great with sales, having them as a champion. Is really going to go a long way. And whether you're using qualitative or quantitative, you're going to need both, but you'll have both. So yeah, it's fun. right?
It is.
And it's new, right? And this is the strategy, right? We have to think about things in a new way. People want visual engagement. No one wants to read a white paper, right? We want to be able to see something visually. We want quick, we have an attention span like a mouse. So I think it's a real win. It's a real tool for a real win in the marketing campaigns. And sales enablement, partner enablement, all that good stuff too.
Absolutely.
I love that. Take a big swing and have fun. What a great way to end the conversation there.
Everyone, so I'm back. So Natalie, Lauren, Aaron, how can people reach you if they want to learn more about your thoughts on this topic, or maybe even learn more or play with Nevadic?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna drop my LinkedIn profile in the chat. If you wanna there you go. You can find me on LinkedIn. And my email is first last name at axonius.com. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Always love to chat with marketers and about product tours or anything else. So just feel free to reach out.
Same. I love this topic. It's one of the funner aspects of my job, if not the most fun, because it's really something where I can just, I'm an introvert. So this is when I can just, at 8 o'clock at night, when all my meetings are done, I can just kind of focus in, do something really cool that is well received. It has a huge turnaround. A lot of people love it. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And if somebody does have any questions particular about this, I'm absolutely willing to take a call or chat.
Same.
Awesome. That makes me actually, I know we just had we have very limited time left, but it makes me want to ask, what was your favorite product tour that you've ever built? Is there one that stands out that you're because Aaron, you just said, oh, you can dive in deep and build some at night. Is there one where you're like, whoa, that was the piece de resistance? I'm in Europe right now, so forgive me.
The first one's always the most fun and exciting, but I would also say for me, it was doing the event one because it was just so different to be like, how do I build this for people in the physical space, in the physical world, and where are they going to be, and tell them to press a button that's next to them. And yeah, that was kind of cool, I thought.
For me, it was the first one as well, Lauren. But and the reason why is because the Nevadic team helped me.
Yes.
They took
Absolutely.
something that I had a lot of fun doing, and I thought it was great. It was good. I did a good job. But the Nevadic team was like, we can make this so much better, and here's how we can help you do it. And so I literally took this demo that everybody loved, and then I had to go back to everyone who already shared the link with and said, you got to check it out again because of what Nevadic did. They they showed me how to create these themes, and it really it took it up a whole nother level. And from there, I was able to take the next subsequent demos from the lessons I learned from working as a team with Nevadic. So Nevadic is a fantastic team to work with. Not only do you have a good product, but you have a good team that really wants to support you. And it's all evident from customer experience to support. It's there. And no, Nevadic did not pay me to say this.
Yeah, totally agree.
Nothing for this.
Cosign.
Right? No, not at all.
I was gonna say, I really appreciate that. I know our head of CS is on this call, so you probably just made her day. And yeah, we love doing it. We love helping out. At this point, I've joked, I've probably seen over 100, if not 500 demos in my life. So if I can ever be helpful, review anyone's demos, I'd love to put my random interactive demo knowledge to use.
Love it.
Natalie, where can people contact you?
Yes, I also put my link in the chat. I'm on there way too much as well. If you want to learn more about Nevadic, I'll link to our website there. We also have a customer showcase. So if you heard all about these cool demos and you're like, oh, I want to see what some look like, I recommend you head over to that.
Awesome. And are you going to be at Cyber Marketing Con this year?
I might be, TBD, but my team definitely will be. Nevadic will be, whether I will be. I do a lot of events, so sometimes some overlap.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. You're calling in from a whole nother coast today. You did the red eye. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Natalie, for being on today. Folks, if you enjoyed this webinar, please send your feedback if you didn't enjoy this webinar, what's wrong with you? And also send your feedback. What other topics or things of interest can we help you with? And again, thank you so much, Lauren, Erin, and Natalie, for sharing your guys' experience with others in the industry, so that we can all do better work and help keep the world safe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. This is
Thank
great.
you all.
Very
Yeah,
fun.
Thank you so much, Rosie.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.